Rough and rugged.
It is what it is.
I mean, it's week 1 of NFL, week 2 of college football. Welcome to Big Ben and K Winn on nofilter.net and YouTube. We broadcast live each week. If you're watching it, drop your comments below. If you're watching us later, drop your comments below. More of an audio podcast person? Rate and review us. Download, listen, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. I'm K Winn. He's Big Ben, and he wants to start with college football today?
No.
No?
We've already got a taste of college football. We've already got a taste. I'm salivating for the NFL.
Ooh, okay.
Game 1 tonight. Great game, by the way. Lamar versus Patrick Mahomes.
Rematch.
Yep. It's going to be a measure of, can the Chiefs three-peat? Yeah. How good are some of the pieces that they brought in? We're not going to see Malcolm Brown, but we'll see Xavier Worthy. Kind of the new look is Pacheco, as good as everyone thinks he is. On the other side, Derrick Henry with the Ravens. First time he's donned a jersey, I believe, other than the Titans his entire career. Lamar Jackson, the paradox that Lamar Jackson is, and that's just the precursor to the upcoming games on Sunday and Monday. I'm excited for the NFL.
And we have Friday night, Packers and Philly in Brazil.
Wow.
First time an NFL game ever will be played in South America. I can't wait.
Nothing can go wrong there. Nothing. It's going to go off.
So here, I'm going to kick you off with some NFL coverage.
Okay.
Caleb Williams, the NFL first-round overall pick for the Chicago Bears, plays on Sunday against the Titans. Love him or hate him, we'll all be watching him. He looked good in the preseason. He looked poised. He made plays. But now it's the regular season. No more man-to-man defenses. No more second, third, fourth-string defenses. There's going to be some disguises. There's going to be some new looks. Will the Bears make the playoffs in year 1 of Caleb Williams' career?
Well, first of all, you have to look at the division they play in. It's not an easy division. I mean, you look at Green Bay; they're good. They snuck into the playoffs last year.
They'll be better this year.
They'll be better. Detroit is, I mean, some are saying top 5 team in the NFL. So you got 2 teams ahead of you right there that were previous playoff teams. One that went to the NFC Championship. The Vikings are going to have a down year. Yeah. So effectively, you're paying 4 games against 2 previous playoff teams that are darn good. So what do you have to do? You have to go out and get help for David Moore, which they did. Roma Duse and Keenan Allen coming in. And then their defense is probably a top 10 defense. Yeah. It's going to come down to Caleb, to be honest. You look at that team, you go, all right, it's got all the pieces. The quarterback makes the train go, or whatever you want to say. Are they going to make the playoffs? If you ask me today, no. They're there. They're probably
they're in the hunt all year, and it's going to confuse fans because they think the Bears have a shot. Caleb will have his ups and downs, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I did the math in my head while you were eloquently speaking. You got 4 division winners.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start out in the West. I mean, more than likely, it's probably the Rams or Niners. So one of them gets the division. One of them gets the wild card. You go to the South. There's probably only one team. I'll take the Falcons to win the division. And then you move to the East. Probably the Eagles and the Cowboys. And then you move into the North. It's probably the Lions and the Packers. So that's 4 division winners, 3 wild cards. Seattle's going to be pretty good. The Saints may sneak in. The Bears don't make the playoffs.
Here's what I'll say about the Bears. If I am a Bears fan, I am ecstatic about what they did in the offseason. There's no, of any fan base in the NFL, there's no fan base that should be more excited about the upcoming season. You have the number 1 draft pick as quarterback. You got your choice. You got your guy. And you brought in a lot of great pieces. They're looking for a new stadium, I think, in Chicago. They need the playoffs more than any fan base. But they're so loyal.
Last time the Bears made the playoffs was 2020 with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, Allen Robinson, Cole Kmet was still there. But your point is right. They've got better talent. They've got a better system. And moving forward, they've got a better shot. I like what they're doing. I think Caleb will show flashes of brilliance. They compare him to Mahomes. Will he turn to Mahomes? I don't know. But it'll show some playmaking skills. What I really want to see is like what he's going to do like when he gets inside pressure. Like when the pocket collapses, is he just going to run? Is he going to be patient? Is he going to use his screens? How is he going to read defenses? Is he going to be able to make plays in a split second? I think he'll make a lot of plays. I think he'll have a lot of interception. His rookie year will be like Peyton Manning. He'll throw a lot of touchdowns. He'll have a lot of interceptions. Throw a lot of touchdowns. Throw a lot of interceptions.
If you think about Keenan Allen, what he brought to the Chargers, he like 3rd and 4 guy, slant, boom, get his body. He's going to be vital to, I think, the success of Caleb Williams early on. He's a veteran. He's probably going to be some of those, even David Moore's, I think, in his 5th year now. So
DJ. Is his
DJ,
first name David?
No, DJ, you're right. So they're going to be able to coach Caleb up a little more than, say, most, right? If you come in with no-name wide receivers that don't know the NFL, like he's going to benefit from having some veteran wide receivers to be able to throw to. I say this about your pocket collapsing. Get to the ground.
Yeah.
Get to the ground. Like that's the best thing you can do probably early on.
Or throw the ball out of bounds.
Yeah. We forget about the run game. DeAndre Swift came in. Khalil Herbert's a serviceable back. So he'll have some opportunities. Just hand the ball off. Get him acclimated. Let him get used to the speed of the game, especially in the regular season. Yeah, fringe playoff team. But man, I'm excited.
A lot will be on Matt Eberflus or Fleece. He's in his 3rd year. And depending on Caleb's growth and the Bears' growth will probably depend on his future. Right?
Yeah.
They compare him the most to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes sat his first year, and then Andy Reid was his play calling coach. Not to take anything away from what Mahomes did, but he put him in a position to succeed right away, year one. And will Caleb have the same offensive mind behind it? I don't know. I think he struggles a little bit.
Yeah, you bring up a good point that sometimes the quarterback's only as good as his coordinator, right? Like they draw enough plays for him to be successful, and you'd think that they're going to do that for Caleb. I mean, Mike Leach was a wonder kid. He put up 4,500 yard seasons with nobodies.
Yeah.
So can you do that for Caleb while balancing the idea of keeping him safe? I mean, you go play at USC, these guys are twice the size of some of those defensive linemen that he's gone up against. We'll see.
We'll see.
College football?
Let's get it.
All right, I have a question for you.
Okay.
That you need to ponder.
All right.
Would you rather, you're given one option only. Okay. Watch all of March Madness or watch the entirety of the college football playoff?
So we're just talking about the 12-team playoff versus March Madness. I go March Madness because day 1 and day 2 are unbelievable. From 9 in the morning till 9 at night Pacific Standard Time. I'm going March Madness.
Okay.
There's more upsets. There's more Cinderella stories. There's more teams. There's more possibilities.
Now let me give you direct. I thought you'd say that. Now let me give you where the teams
are. Trap question.
Teams are nearly even. You get to watch just the Sweet 16 to the final versus the college football playoff, which is 12 teams to the final.
Normally, I would lean towards basketball, but since the college football playoff is so new and there's so many headlines, I got to go college football. I got to see what it's like year one.
If you ask me the same question, I'd probably have the same answer. Yeah. Like that's I looked at the viewership. Effectively, each round, the NCAA tournament was getting about 10 million viewers. The college football playoff alone, that final alone, was getting about 13. So that's the crescendo, right? Yeah. But there's more, I think, overall fans in college football. College football did this for money, right? Yeah. But is it going to work? Are people going to care?
People will care. Because if you're one of the 12 teams, those fan bases will care. Bettors will care. And if you're just a general football fan, you're going to care. Like, I went to Santa Clara. I got no dogs in the fight any year. But I'm going to watch all of those playoff games.
Right. I'm interested just due to the fact that there is like now all of a sudden there's some variability, right? When you have the top 4 teams, you kind of know who they are more or less. Everyone gripes, oh, the 15 out, whoever it was. Now that we have the opportunity to watch maybe, a sub power or power 5 conference team or some of these lower Boise states, if you would, come in and battle again, take on some of these prominent power 4 teams. That's the interesting storyline that I'm going to follow and that I want to watch. I'm not, you went down and watched Georgia play Clemson. Sure, that's fun, but it's kind of, the writing's on the wall after the first quarter, right? So I'm excited for the college football playoff, and more so, just like you said about March Madness, those first 2 rounds rather than the last 2, right? The Final Four is fun to watch, but it doesn't have that excitement and the unknown. It doesn't have the unknown.
It doesn't. But the writing is kind of on the wall for the college football playoffs. I read somewhere like the top 10 teams ranked right now, 9 of them are in the Big Ten or the SEC. The only team that's not is Notre Dame, which is probably going to get an at-large ranking. Not in the top 10, your USC Trojans, so they could sneak in as well.
Here, I want to bring attention to that though. So everyone said, when the new broadcast media rights come up, that Big Ten and SEC are going to separate themselves in the pack. And just to what you brought forth just now, probably justifies that. What I want to know is, does that limit your maybe? Are people going to get soured on that? Same teams every year. Are we going to see any difference from
No,
say?
because when it was 4 teams, it was still kind of the same. It was SEC and Big Ten dominating it. I mean,
Right.
Clemson had their run. The Pac-12 never won a BCS title when there was 4 teams. I mean, Washington got close. I don't think people are going to get tired of good, dominant football or great teams or a quarterback who's going to win the Heisman, who's in the final games, or NFL draft picks. I don't think people get tired of it.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, look at college basketball. The winner, it's usually what? Big East, ACC, Pac-12 didn't win a college basketball title in
Diddly.
a while. SEC,
But if you're watching replay games, right? If you're watching the SEC championship again, the Big Ten championship, how interesting is that to a viewer
but the
or a
cast of
fan?
players change, right?
Yeah,
It's new players.
I'd
With
watch
the
it.
transfer portal, it's going to be new players and new teams from the SEC or the Big
very, 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 very true. I'm excited for it. I just hope it becomes, again, it isn't the Big Ten and SEC show. There's the value to the Big 12, ACC. Gosh, what Florida State has done opening the season, that conference is in trouble.
Yeah.
Like the validity and value to those, to any win that takes place in the ACC. There might be more validity and value to Old Miss beating Arkansas than there is, Miami beating Florida, which just happened this past weekend. So that remains to be seen. How whoever the college football playoff committee values wins is going to be interesting, especially in this first year, right? There's always been screams of, oh, this 10-0 team from the Mountain West Conference should definitely be in over an 8-2 team from the Big Ten.
I mean, I think we're going to see 3 lost teams in the SEC and the Big Ten get in over Mountain West team that may lose 1 or 2 games. They may win. Mountain West may win the division, and they still may pick a 3-loss SEC team. Right?
But for me, I'd rather have the inverse. I'd rather watch Mountain West take on Bama. Like, that's more interesting to me than watching Bama play Old Miss for the 3rd time in the season.
I agree.
Well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I like your you have to look at it in the vein of March Madness. I think people love the upsets. They love the underdog. Is the NCAA and the College Football Playoff Committee going to allow that in the College Football Playoff?
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be some sort of unspoken pressure to put more SEC and Big Ten teams in for revenue, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, while the little guy has the record, I hope they get a fair shot.
I wonder who's on that committee. Maybe we should be on it.
Yeah,
They need
probably the
power.
same people who've been stealing billions of dollars from these
Yeah,
student athletes.
exactly. Exactly. Like let's be honest. This is all for the money. As much as wins loss records, it's viewership, market, and that those two things probably play into it more so than anything. Will people watch this game? Is what
Yeah.
they're asking themselves.
How many people will watch this?
Thank you. How many people will watch this game? Boise's got 400,000 people in it versus Gainesville
Yeah,
that has 1.2 million. Who's getting in?
yeah,
Probably those Gators. All right, you want to do a little fantasy?
yeah. Let's do it. I got
Okay,
a
so
dilemma, and a lot of you out there have a dilemma too. If you were drafting in the first round, somewhere between 7 and 9, Jamar Chase, do you sit him or start him? I mean, it's Thursday. He hasn't signed a contract. He hasn't really practiced. What do I do, Big Ben? What should you do? Would you start Jamar Chase against the Patriots?
go trade for T. Higgins. It's probably the best thing you can do, to be honest, at this point. I mean, it seems as though. Do you consider wide receivers divas, or is that inappropriate? Like, I don't think they're divas, but they want to get paid before they go out, like of any other position. And the bar had been set by Tyreek, and then it's set by another player. CD Lamb's looking for a deal. Like
CeeDee
everyone,
Lamb got a deal.
CD Lamb got a deal. He's no longer out. He's in. And Jamar looked at that and goes, and it's all relative in the way of stats, right? Like there's an arbitration process in baseball. It's probably the same thing that goes on in the minds of every wide receiver when he sees another player signed. What do you do with Jamar? This is a test of, does a guy want to play football? Is he there for the love of the game? Does he want to get out there?
Yeah, but also he needs to get paid at a market value, right? Like we all have jobs too. We want to get paid a market value. If Joe in accounting gets a raise, I sure as hell want a raise.
I the Bengals need him out there.
Yeah. I don't know if they need him week 1 against the Patriots, but week 2 they play the Chiefs. And the
You
sticky
know,
situation is Ayuk and CeeDee Lamb were coming off of year 4, so they only had one more year left on their deal. They got the extension. This is Chase's 3rd year, so they kind of want to wait a year, but he
right.
doesn't want to wait a year because of the risk of getting injury and money and time value. So I understand what he's doing. I just don't know. Should I start him or sit him? Is he going to play this week in Big Ben?
The fact that you bring up the opponent of the Patriots, he might sit. To be honest, if that's the leverage I have, right? You only know your value until you're gone.
Yeah.
Like he might look at it and go, listen, if you guys lose to the Patriots without me, my value just went up a lot.
And there's no way you're going to week 2 with the Chiefs
Right.
without
Without
me.
me. Yes. I mean, Jamar's got, in terms of negotiation and where he's at on the table, he's got all the leverage.
Yeah.
And all the fantasy owners tweeting him or whatever you want to say, that's not going to move the needle, right? You complaining about him not playing, he's got all the leverage. You're going against a soft opponent. No, they haven't witnessed, Burrow's been as good as he has because Jamar's been around
Yeah.
for the most part. And we saw who the Bengals were without Burrow, but we haven't seen who they were without Jamar yet.
No, he got hurt, but then Jake Browning was in at quarterback, so we haven't seen one
Yeah.
or the other.
And then you got Tyler Boyd who left and went to the Titans. So they're already thin at wide receiver, right?
What does Fat Joe say? Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Exactly. Like if you're Bengal brass, right, you're probably going to Jamar, just wait a year. We'll get it done.
We got you.
But what ended up happening, and it's this late in the season, where you saw some deals get restructured by those two teams you mentioned, by the Cowboys and the 49ers, to free up money to pay these guys up front, backload. They had some, well, Bengals don't have that luxury right now, unless you're going around passing the hat around the locker room and saying, hey, yo, Jamar wants to pay, we need you guys to pitch in a little. Like that's the only feasible thing they can do now, unless they restructure.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe they look at,
Well, when you've got millions and millions of dollars like the Niners are paying 9 all-pro type players. You can restructure millions and millions of
Yes.
dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. But like, what are they going to ask Chase Brown and Zach Moss to restructure their deals? Get out of here.
No. And one thing you could probably see them doing, like a lot of these teams, they're smart, right? They see players that are coming off. Who are we going to want to retain? If we give Jamar the money in the way that he wants it, who are we going to have to sacrifice more than likely?
Yeah.
Or who are we at risk of losing, right? So that's probably the conversation of Jamar. Hey, Jamar, do you want to get paid or do you want to play for a winner? Let's find a way where we can do both. And a lot of what Jamar may be looking at is, I hear you, but without me, we're not a winner, right?
Yeah.
That's the point he's probably. And then here's what the Bengals probably didn't see. One, they didn't see this happening.
Right.
And two, they didn't see the, holy cow, we got rid of Tyler Boyd. That was our fallback. If you go into the Patriots game with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, okay. Yeah, you're okay. If you go into the game with T. Higgins and some unknowns, Burrow might be on his back a lot more than you think.
Yeah, and there's no Joe Mixon in it either.
Chase Brown and Zach Moss is not Joe Mixon, right? Joe, for all intents, would just eat up carries. Like you could beat the Patriots with giving Joe Mixon the ball 32 times. You probably can't do that with Zach Moss and Chase Brown.
15 and 15?
15-15. Maybe we'll see. I got Chase. I want him on 15 carries for Chase Brown. He's on my bench. Go back to your question. Are you going to start him? I'm asking
Yes.
you. You starting him?
I'm starting him because they're going to get a
With
deal
everything
done.
we just said.
They have a track record of waiting to the last minute. By the time this podcast airs, Chase Brown will sign, or excuse me, Jamar Chase will sign a contract. And even if he's out of shape, if he's playing the Patriots, I still think he can get 2 touchdowns against that horrible defense. It better be in the first half, though, because in the second half, he's going to be sucking wind.
Okay. He hasn't been a part of. I don't think. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm looking at our fantasy football league, real quick.
Yeah, I have Jamar Chase. Do I bench him and put Jameson Williams in for the Lions? I'm gonna wait until Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific to make that decision.
I think so. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable.
Yeah.
Can I digress to DeAndre?
Yeah, let's go.
Similar situation, right? Not similar situation.
What's wrong with DeAndre?
I don't know. Something's always been wrong with DeAndre over the course of the past. Have you noticed that? Yeah. Something he'll put up 20, then go away for 4 games. Come back.
It's weird because in the preseason, there's no real injury report. Like coaches can keep things close to their vest. Like I don't know if it's some veterans that just don't want to go through camp or if they're really hurt. So I don't know what to say about DeAndre.
Yeah, DeAndre's one of those, I'm cool. I'll be there when I need to be there.
Yeah.
Old veteran guy. Why don't we do this? I do want to challenge you to something. I realized this morning I don't have an NFL hat anymore.
Oh.
No Seahawks, no NFL hat. I'm going to challenge you to a year-long points race in our no filter league. The most total points at the end of the regular season.
All right.
Has to buy someone else or the other person the hat. Actually, I take that back. I have a Bills hat, but
yeah, I know you have a hat, but
I need a new one.
I'll take the bet. Most total points.
Most total points.
And then you just tell me what hat you want.
Yep, or vice versa. How confident?
How about I'll do it? I'll do the bet only if you can't pick a Seahawks hat.
Deal.
All right. Deal. I can't pick a Niners hat.
Deal.
Okay.
Deal. I have to vent here for 1 second, and we'll get out of here.
I was fantasy football, or are we going somewhere else?
Yes, fantasy football. If we want to go somewhere else, I got a lot more.
No.
The worst position you could possibly be in a snake draft is 7th.
Yeah, I agree.
The absolute worst. Yeah. I drafted 7th this year in one of our leagues.
Who'd you take?
Garrett Wilson, because we had keepers. Okay. And I wanted continuity because I got Garrett in another league. But after that, here's the thing. You're like, I like this guy. I think he'll be around. but he's not around after 12 picks in front of you, right? If you're in the back end, you get some capacity. You understand who has needs of what, so you can draft this player and then have an understanding. You can go get players you like.
Yeah.
When you're drafting seventh, you can't, because the players you like are probably liked by at least 3 other people.
Yeah. And then I feel like you got to draft the player you want around early.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I didn't do that. Cooper Kupp gone. Josh Allen gone. Duncan Cade gone. Like, my team it's all the players, you know what I mean? I'm kidding. All the players that sit at that top line for like 5, 6, 7 picks.
Yeah.
Mike Evans.
You're like, do I do it? Or
Mike Evans, Devontae Smith. You're like, man, I don't want this guy, but he's probably the best value, right?
I mean, you got to get the best player, and you got to draft at some point to your position.
Right.
I was in that same position, and I went Amon-Ra St. Brown, then I went Puka, and then I went Olave, and then I was just like, am I going to really draft another wide receiver the 4th round? Because he's the best player on the board, and I just couldn't do it. So I drafted Jalen Hurts. But I wanted to draft like DK
right.
the 4th.
And the plethora of wide receivers versus running backs. I mean, you have starting running backs in the NFL, like on the waiver wire. I will just say this. If I ever have to bet the 7th again, I might opt out of the draft, auto draft, and just be like, all right, I'm going to succumb to me not getting any of the players I like and let the computer do it. That said, good luck this year.
Good luck to you too. I got something. 1 minute left. Must start. K Winn's must start. Javonte Williams.
Javonte.
The Broncos playing in Seattle against your Seahawks. He is a must start. And listen why. It is hard to play in Seattle. The 12th man is loud. And it's even harder to play when it's your first NFL start with Bo Nix. Sean Payton is going to protect Bo. A lot of screen, a lot of dump offs, and a lot of Javonte Williams. Plus, I know Mike McDonald's at the helm. Defensive mind, great defensive mind for the Seahawks. But the Seahawks last year gave up, I think, the 2nd most rushing touchdowns and yards to fantasy football running backs. I think my Hawks win the game, but I think Javonte Williams eats.
I watched Josh Jacobs go for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns on the Seahawks. That's a pretty good one. Must start T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Jamar doesn't play.
I even would get that whoever was the 3rd wide receiver is now the number 2.
Jeremy Burton. He's on my bench. Yeah.
Are you going to start Jeremy Burton?
What did you say about what time you're going to make the decision?
At 9 o'clock Pacific time.
I'll make the decision 9 o'clock Pacific.
I'll be hitting Mort. I'm sorry, Mort passed away. Rest in paradise, Mort. I'll be checking out Ian Rappaport and Scheffler to see who's playing and who's not.
Whew. I'm excited.
Here's a tip. Don't walk your dog in the morning between 9 and 9:30 because a lot of times you'll miss the injury report. I have done that before. You got to walk the dog like at 8 a.m.
Early.
7 a.m. Wake up, Theo.
Early. I agree. All right, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
At Big Ben _ K at Big Ben K Winn _ on X, Threads, Instagram, all your social media. Then find us wherever you get your podcast at Big Ben K Winn. All things football every Thursday from here on out. Maybe all things football. Sprinkle in some playoffs. Baseball, maybe. Go Pods. Find us wherever you got your podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Comment, like, subscribe. Great show today. Well done.
Great show today. Go Niners. Can't wait for Monday night. I can enjoy fantasy football all day Sunday. I'm tired of this Jets talk. I know the Jets have great defense, but
okay.
And I didn't want to show my bias. I didn't want to show my bias and say Niners. So I chose Caleb Williams.
Take the Jets and take the over.
Call me later. We'll talk about the Niners. I need a bet.